Wow. Just wow. I didn't think it could get any worse, but it did. Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be another epic rant. Oh my god. This is a movie that I knew I had to see before the end of the year, just because this movie looked incredible for all the wrong reasons, and I knew I had to watch it, and that is a movie that I finally watched. That movie is none other than a movie that you probably haven't even heard, because I barely heard anyone talk about this movie, and for good reason. That movie is none other than Meet the Blacks. You guys know how I was feeling about this movie going into it. I saw the trailer for this movie back when I did trailer reactions, and I hated everything about it. It looked racist, it looked wrong, and it looked very, very unfunny, and looked like what happens when you have a very low-budget version of a Wayans Brothers movie. And I went into this movie. I had my friends watch it with me. They hated it just as much, and I have to say that not only is this movie terrible, this is probably one of the most racially offensive, unfunny pieces of shit I have seen in a very, very long time. Honestly, this made Boo Madea Halloween not so bad anymore. That's how bad this movie really is. You guys know how much I hated Boo Madea Halloween. Yes, I know that review was taken down by Tyler Perry. I don't really care. I really did not like that movie. This movie is so much worse, though, by that on so many levels. And once again, there's not going to be any sort of editing to this video just because that's how I roll when I do these rants. But let's just get into this movie because, wow, I have a lot to say about it. The plot to this movie is absolutely absurd. Basically, we have this character, Carl Black, his family. They're getting out of Chicago because Carl Black just stole a bunch of money from this, drug king, Keyflow, who's gonna be, I guess, in prison for the next 5 to 6 years. So Carl decides to leave the hustling lifestyle behind, basically, for something better, and they decide to move to this place in Beverly Hills, which I think is great and everything. However, of note to them, the Purge is about to happen, and basically, the Purge targets black people and people of their kind, and that basically is the plot of Meet the Blacks overall. What an incredible plot, and really just shows you what kind of movie this is just from that plot. I mean, if the plot sounds stupid, the movie's even stupider, and let me just say that that plot in general was the main reason I was not looking forward to this movie, but that's probably the least worst thing about this. I mean, the acting in this movie is some of the worst I have seen in a very, very long time. You know how bad 50 Shades of Black was? That movie was really, really bad, and that still is my worst movie this year. This movie, they're not even trying. They're really not. There doesn't even seem like they're trying to me. To me, it seems like they're way too over the top. It seems like they only did this movie for, money and things like that, and it doesn't really seem like they're trying. Mike Epps as Carl Black, I'm sure is a funny guy. Once again, I'm not gonna, bash Michael Epps as an actor. I don't think he's bad. I think he's picking really bad movies. He picked this and 50 Shades of Black, and once again, Carl Black is just not a funny character. There's nothing interesting about him. There's nothing charismatic about him. I don't care that he was in a gang. I don't care that he was, in that rough part. They don't do anything interesting with him. I found him boring. I found him bland. And everything about him I thought was just so stupid. This is someone who, throughout the entire movie, just is completely naive about this purge. He doesn't want to believe that something's actually going on, and it just is really dumb. I hated him. He was really bad, and Carl Black in general, I really did not like his character very much at all, but he's actually probably the least worst out of everyone. I mean, everyone else is so much worse. Gary Owen is Larry. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, if you're thinking this is racist, you don't really understand how racist this movie truly is. I mean, Gary Owen as Larry is one of the most insensitive characters I've seen in a while. This is someone who he meets Carl Black, and the second he meets him, you can tell he really does not like him, only seemingly for his skin color. They don't really give another reason why he doesn't like him, but he's not funny at all. He's very offensive, and I didn't like anything about him in this movie. He was really bad. And then don't even get me started on the rest of the cast. Zulay Henao as Lorena, Carl Black's wife, is literally just there to Carrie wannabe, to say all kinds of Spanish jokes and say all these Spanish things and have all these really offensive, racist Spanish things in there, so I really did not like her either. She was very annoying, but Lil Duval as Cronets. Holy shit, this character. This guy. Wow. I mean, if you want to talk about dumb characters, I'm fine with a character being dumb in a movie, but this is just taking it to a whole other level. There is literally a scene in this movie where Krona talks about how he wants to go into a truck, not because he wants to drive it, not because he wants to borrow his truck, but because he wants to burn himself alive as a reminder of what the slaves went through. Yes, this is an actual scene in the movie. And then there's a whole scene where he's talking about how he wants to bang Lorena and all this stuff to her, how he jerks off to her, and just everything going on with this character is one of those characters just trying so hard to get a laugh out of you. He was so annoying. He was by far the worst thing about this movie, and I hated everything about this character. I wanted him to die. I didn't want him to live. I just really, really despised him. He wasn't funny, he was annoying, and the second he came on screen, I really just wanted him to die, and luckily, what happened to him happened, but in general, I hated him. He was fucking annoying, and he is one of the worst things about this movie, definitely. He was pretty terrible. Carl's daughter, Allie, give me a break. This character's only here to have a boyfriend that wants to have sex with her. There's a whole scene where she's yelling at Carl because she doesn't understand the purge, and I'm just thinking, you were upstairs the whole time trying to get your boyfriend not to have sex with you. Why are you so upset that he doesn't know what the purge is? I mean, you didn't really care either, so why are you getting all upset at him? I mean, he seems such like a hypocrite. I hated her character. And then Alex Henderson is Carl Jr. in this movie. This kid is supposed to have like extensive knowledge about horror movies, and it ruins most of the entire movie. Most of the movie, he knows pretty much every single horror movie. He knows the way every single horror movie ends. That way they're able to take down all these purge characters, and I really thought that he was just really annoying. I hate everything about him. He was really bad. And then, finally, George Lopez as President Obama. Yes, President Obama. That is the level that we are at with this movie. Was awful. I thought that he kind of was trying, but he barely has anything to do in this movie. I thought he was just really, they clearly tried to make him, you know, the stereotypical Spanish person, and I just really did not like his character at all. He was really bad. And then the Purge characters in this movie, give me a break. I mean, they're all horrible. None of them are funny. They're all just trying so hard to get a laugh out of you, and everything about them I absolutely hate. I hate most of the entire cast in this movie. One of the worst casts of the year by far. Just really, really bad cast, and that's nothing compared to the directing and the screenplay, because the directing in this movie, this is one of those movies where you're not supposed to take a single thing seriously, and Deon Taylor did a good job with showing us that, I suppose, that this movie is supposed to be completely ridiculous, and you're not supposed to take anything in this movie at face value. Okay, I mean, I understood that he doesn't really want us to take it seriously. That doesn't mean it works, because it absolutely doesn't. This movie, there's nothing funny about it. The humor does not work at all. The movie never invested me. I was never into the story at all. I found the story to be very meandering, and it just didn't really seem like they had much to work with. The directing of this movie was absolutely awful. I think Deon Taylor really did a horrible job directing this movie. I don't really know what he was thinking, but that's nothing compared to his screenplay, which might just be the worst screenplay I've heard all year. I mean, the screenplay of this movie, I know I've said that I don't really know if a movie's racist, that if it's funny, it works. This movie is not funny. It's straight up racist. Think of every single joke you've ever heard about a black person that you found racist. That is how racist this movie is, and that's something that really, really got to me. I mean, I'm not someone who is black. As you guys know, I am a white person. I'm white and everything. But that doesn't mean that I don't get affected by these things, because, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that black people try to avoid. This is the kind of stuff that happens to them, and all this humor I didn't find funny. I just found it very, very racist. I mean, the second the blacks come on screen, there's all this kind of humor of, oh, we're going to target you, seemingly just because they're black, and there's really no other reason why, and I found that to be very racist. Then there's jokes about slavery, there's jokes about racial profiling, there's just jokes about every single horrible thing you could think of. There's a joke about in this movie. There's a joke about how there's this man who's black, but he's not as black as Carl Black. That's the reason why he's not going to be targeted by the purge. Just everything about it I thought was horrible. I hated that. Throw the purge in there, it makes it so much worse, because This movie doesn't even try to replicate The Purge. I mean, if you thought the Purge movies were bad, that's nothing compared to this movie. This movie does not at all know how to have the Purge element in there. I mean, the characters in this are horrible. I don't know why they're fighting in this Purge. They're horrible to watch. There is a character in this movie named Visa. I'm not even joking. Visa is a character in this movie. The credit card Visa is a character, and he's dressing up for the Purge, and it is as cringeworthy and as horrible as you can imagine. I hate everything about him. He was just terrible in this movie. Mike Tyson's in this movie for some reason. I don't know why. I really respect him as an actor, but for some reason, he subjected himself to this movie. He's much better than this. I have no idea why Mike Tyson decided to do this movie. Like I said, he's a lot better than this. I don't know why he's in this movie. But yeah, for some reason, Mike Tyson was in this. Just every single character was terrible. Every single character was a cliche, and there was nothing good about any of them. I hated everything about the writing. The writing was just awful, and really is the reason why this movie isn't as bad as it is, because there's not a single amount of good writing in there, and even the characters that aren't racist are very, very cliche. Like I said, there's the drunk in there. There's the horny teenage daughter. There's the little boy who likes to dress up as horror characters and knows everything. There's the funny guy who's trying to be like Chris Rock, because that's all he was trying to be to me, you know, the fucking Cronut. He was trying to be like Chris Rock to me, and all this shit happens, but everything about all these characters I absolutely hated. I couldn't get into any of them. I hated the writing, and pretty much the worst screenplay of the year. I really did not like the writing in this movie. It very much affected me. The cinematography, I suppose, is okay, but even the cinematography looks extremely low budget. Like, I am gonna believe that this movie had no budget whatsoever. At points, this movie, I felt like I was watching a YouTube video. It really was that horribly done in terms of cinematography. I mean, everything looked fake. You could tell when it was green screen, you could tell when it wasn't, and the cinematography in general was just horrible. I hated it. Horrible cinematography. The score was okay. I did like the rap music to this movie. I guess it worked, but just in general, I thought there was too much of it. There was an overabundance of rap. I like rap music. I don't dislike it, but I feel like there definitely was an overabundance of it in this movie, so I guess that didn't really work either. And then the editing. Don't even get me started with the editing. Now, this movie did come out on April Fool's Day, so maybe it all is a joke. There is that, but there is also the fact that the editing in this movie is complete shit. This movie is 90-something minutes long, and it felt like 2 hours to me. It was that horrible. I could not wait for this thing to end. I mean, the second it started, I really wished I hadn't watched it. And that doesn't happen a ton. The second it starts, sometimes it's like a few minutes before. But no, the second it started, I wanted to turn it off. I hated everything about it. It took everything in me, guys, to not turn it off. I mean, there were so many points throughout the movie where I was ready to turn it off. There were so many points in the movie where I was just done with it. And after a while, the movie just becomes very, very repetitive. This character from The Purge comes in, they find a way to kill it, we move on to the next character. After a while, it just seems like the movie keeps going on and on and on and on. It just doesn't know how to end. And when it eventually ends, of course, they do the worst thing possible. Which, spoiler, I don't even care if you guys care about this movie. I'm just gonna spoil it anyway. One, somehow they all survive the Purge. I have no idea how the fuck that happened. How does none of them get killed? I don't know. It seemed like the movie just wanted to keep them. But that's mainly because of the fact that there's going to be a sequel. Yes, literally at the end of the movie, and I was watching with my friends and we were all saying, no sequel, no sequel. The second the movie ends, we see that the dude with the long hair, I don't remember his name, he says, I'm still alive, bitches. They go to this new place that's like kind of like Camp Crystal Lake, and Jason Voorhees for some reason is there. So yes, there's for some reason going to be a sequel to this shit, because for some reason they think that audiences actually enjoy this kind of movie, which they clearly don't. If you guys enjoy this movie, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing if you do, but I don't really think there's a market for this movie, and that's the way it ends. They're literally setting this up for a sequel, and that is the second I knew this was just a cash grab. There's nothing interesting about this, just everything about this movie. Just fuck it, really. This movie is awful. Don't watch it. I hated everything about it. Just stay away, really. This movie is complete trash. It really is. It's trash. It's nonsense, and I don't really have much else to say about. Yes, it's a movie that very much affected me, but it's not really a movie I can say much about because it's very basic, it's very one note, and I just don't really want to talk about it anymore. This movie very much affected me. This movie really did, this is probably one of the most offensive films I've ever seen, personally. I thought this movie was extremely offensive, and if you guys agree with me, if you guys have seen the movie, hopefully you agree with me, because I really do think this movie is somewhat offensive. It's not funny at all. It has horrible characters. It's horribly cliche, and in general, it's just a horrible ass of a film to get through. I hated everything about it. You will for sure see this movie on my worst list. And I am absolutely going to give Meet the Blacks a 0.5 out of 5 or an F. Wow, this movie is bad. But thank God I don't have to talk about this shit anymore, guys. I don't hate watching these movies. I don't want you guys to think that. I actually get a kick sometimes at the bad movies. I do. You guys know there are some that I find very funny. There was nothing funny about this, though. Everything about this was so unfunny. It's even hard to talk about. I mean, there are just some scenes I don't want to talk about in this movie. Is there anything outrightly... I mean, is there anything that's completely, like, memorable? No, the movie's not even that memorable. That's why I can't even really talk about it. It's a horrible film. It's not memorable. It's one of the most offensive things I've seen. Don't watch it, whatever you do. Mike Epps, I don't know why these... You know, you have people like Mike Epps, you have people like Marlon Wayans, and you have Tyler Perry, and I don't know why these three men keep subjecting themselves to this kind of shit. I mean, they're all the same. They're all racist, they're all offensive, and they're all just really, really unfunny, and I don't know why we keep getting these kind of movies. They're not really marketing. No one really likes them. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. Just fuck this shit. I hated everything about this movie. Just kill the blacks, kill them all. I'm not trying to sound racist. I'm talking about the characters in this movie. I'm not saying you should kill black people. I'm talking about the characters in this movie. Just kill them all. I don't want to see a sequel. I don't want honestly, this movie is not worth your time. I've said before, if you want to check out a movie, check it out. I don't think this movie's worth your time. I really do not think you guys should see it. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and... fuck this movie, honestly, fuck this movie. I have seen so much better than this. There's so much better things this movie could do. This is one of the reasons why, I mean, these movies are just horrible. I hate everything about it, and I really don't want to talk about it again for a very long time.